What's up everybody, I'm your host Peter and I'm going to be focusing on one of my personal favorite animes, Rurouni Kenshin. Please give it a watch. The original is a masterpiece. Regardless, I'm pretty sure that you will love the 2023 reboot with a fire fervor. So in this deep dive, I'm going to be focused on three major points that make the story amazing. Its character development, its fight scenes, and the ideals of each character and what they stand for are unique to themselves. So I'm going to start with some backstory. Personal backstory, I believe that this is an anime based on the psychosis of people after the Tokugawa regime. For just the general backstory, I'm going to say that Rurouni Kenshin takes place in the Meiji era of the Japanese government, 10 years after the Tokugawa regime has ended. So there is much strife and recovery to be had in Japan, specifically in its two major cities, Kyoto and Tokyo. Kenshin is a former Meiji government samurai who had the most influence in turning the tide of the war towards the Meiji government, thus ending the Tokugawa government's regime. Let's start with number one, character development, right? So the main character Kenshin is actually not the most mentally developed or the strongest in the series. As viewers, when we learn of this, we're freaking out because Hitokiri Batosai, the manslayer, is displaying phenomenal abilities from the get-go, okay?
As a result of abandoning my training, you became what you are now. Your swordsmanship is superior, but it is still that of a 14-year-old, a stupid apprentice whose mind has never matured, who suffered deep wounds that will never heal, on his left cheek as well as in his heart. You then became an unstable swordsman who sways between manslayer and pacifist.
So there are much more mentally and justified characters who are more strongly firm in their beliefs. However, like Saito, Okubo, and even Shishio. The reason it's a shock is because in the beginning we see Kenshin, who seemingly has his act together and claims to have thrown his Hitokiri Batosai ways, change the environment around him to further the peace of Japan, one person at a time. However, he loses his convictions in numerous fights with Jinei, Saito, and Sojiro.
Shishio won't be able to resist taking advantage of this opportunity.
Saito, I'd like to know what it is you're planning to do.
There's only one path. Kyoto. That's where Shishio is. Simple, isn't it?
So at this point in time, we realize how bad the state of Japan really is. Most everybody Kenshin runs into is just even less sure of themselves in this new Meiji era.
It's a catastrophe waiting to happen. Is another war going to begin? Just like the Seinon Wars?
Maybe the government will fall apart.
Is the restoration back to square one? The chaos of the revolution is going to start up.
So he influences Yahiko, Megumi, Sanosuke, Hanya, Katsu in the beginning with effortless ease. Characters with stronger ideals than Kenshin, like Saito, Okubo, and Shishio, have been unwaveringly pursuing their ideals for the most part in the past 10 years pretty successfully. The problem now is that all of these worlds are now colliding, and that this is what leads us into the Shishio arc. You know, this is basically the storm before the war. Now I can talk about number two of why it's so great, the fight scenes. Every major fight has a purpose behind it. While yes, the animation at the time was very astonishing and less PowerPoint-like compared to other anime at the time, the characters always fought with a vision of how to make the Japanese government and the world a better place.
That's why I have to do anything I can to become stronger right now, so that I'll have the power to wipe out unreasonable violence with my own hands.
These were people trying to change the world into a more peaceful place to live, whether in their minds or direct causation. For example, Sano, Anji, and Sojiro, these are just a few examples of the more troubled characters who needed to be set straight. And then adding onto the fight scenes is number three, the ideals and the reasoning these characters fight. I believe no one character was necessarily evil. Even Shishio wasn't really evil if you actually look at his story. Who's to say the government Shishio would have created would have been statistically worse than the Meiji government? He never had his chance. Like I said, he wasn't necessarily evil. He was just his idea was that the Meiji government was full of liars and people encompassed by greed, which kind of makes sense because that's like if you have a swordsman who's been in war, he's not going to unnecessarily pick fights with people he doesn't want to or have to. He's just going to run his shit.
They didn't care about ideals or philosophies. All they wanted from him was his skills. Hoji couldn't put up with it. This country and this Meiji era.
Even though we were the ones who won in the end, everything you just said makes it hard to tell which side was right.
That's how it goes, kid.
Conclusion, this is exactly why I love Kenshin. It gives the viewers the choice to how they view the introduced characters and shows you unbiased information for you to create your own interpretation. In the end, I personally believe people are more alike than they are not. At least that's what I think. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy Rurouni Kenshin? Have you seen it before? If not, are you excited for the reboot? Are you excited for something new? Let me know what you think about this review or Kenshin in general, because there's so much to talk about in this vastly amazing masterpiece. So if you guys like what I do, or you want to see more anime and comedy content, please be sure to follow, like this video, and follow me for any other upcoming stuff that I have going on. So thank you very much.